Hello everyone, welcome to Poesys e-learning and certification services. This is third video session in Python programming series. And in this session, I'm going to introduce you to Python's primitive data types. Python supports dynamic typing. What does it mean? Let us understand this with the help of a simple example. There are two containers on my screen, a plastic bucket and a box of cardboard. If I asked you to choose one of them to store water, which one would you choose? Obviously, bucket. Was your choice of container based on type of material to be stored? Answer is yes, right? Python does same thing. It selects memory containers from predefined groups or classes based on type of data to be stored. Classification of containers allows Python to take care of operational integrity. For example, an operation that can be performed on integer type container may not be valid to run on string type of container. This feature of selection of memory containers and maintaining operational integrity is called dynamic typing. A memory container has three attributes. Value means the data variable it is holding. Type means data type of data variable or value. And ID means a unique identifier. You can also call it memory address, where this memory container is residing. Name is an optional parameter. Name in Python, X is a pointer pointing to the memory location of the container. Let me show you this with the help of a practical example. But before that, let us look at Python's primitive types. There are three primitive types: numeric, boolean, and string. Numeric has three subtypes: integer, float, complex number. And let me show you examples of these types one by one. I'm going to take an integer value, simple 4, and look at this. I did not assign any name to this data variable 4. Still, Python happily accepted it. So 4 has been stored in a memory location. Let us look at the ID of 4. It is ID and type of 4. Integer. Memory allocation and type assignment were done by Python interpreter automatically. So we have a value 4, we have ID, we have type, but there is no name. Now, how to assign a name to this data variable? Simple. We are going to read this statement from left hand side to right hand side. We are assigning a name I that is going to work as a pointer to this data variable 4. Okay, so I'm assigning a name I to data variable 4. Now, how to check whether I is pointing to the same memory area where 4 was stored? Let us once again check ID of this time. id of I. And look at the address. It's same. That means I is pointing to memory area where value 4 was stored. So this is numeric integer primitive type. Now let us take example of floating point number. So I'm taking another name and I'm storing a floating point value 3.4. So J is a value 3.4. Check ID of J. Check type of J. Good. Now let us take an example of a complex number type. So I'm taking a new name K, pointer K, holding value 2 plus 3j. So K is the name, value is 2 plus 3j. Type of K is complex and ID of K. Now, one more interesting thing, a support for complex number as a data type reveals Python's scientific nature. This support of complex numbers as data types makes Python suitable for developing scientific applications and mathematical applications. So these are three subtypes of numeric primitive type. Now let us look at the next type, Boolean. Boolean is a special type of data type. A Boolean container holds one out of two values, true or false. So I'm taking a new pointer and this is going to hold a Boolean identifier or variable true. Check type of P. It's bool. Check ID of P. Good. Now let's look at strings. Strings are more versatile than numeric data types and Boolean data types. There are different ways of creating strings. Let me show you how to do it. We can create strings by using a pair of single quotes. We can enclose text or characters, numbers and symbols inside a pair of single quote to create a string. Let me show you. So I'm creating a string which is going to hold hello Python inside it. Good. Let us check value. So str1 is holding a value hello Python in a single container. Type and ID. So look at the type, str means a string and this is ID of str1. Now let us create a second string, but this time I'm going to use a pair of double quotes. So we can also create strings using a pair of double quotes. I'm creating same string hello Python. Let us check str2's value, ID and type. Look at one more interesting thing here. str1 and str2 both are holding same value, same string hello Python, but there memory identifiers, IDs, are not same. Unlike integers that I covered in the previous session, here Python is not storing same value in same memory location. Instead, it has stored these values, although values are same, but Python has stored values in different memory locations. So this is Python's special feature to take care of data based on its type. This is all part of dynamic typing. Now there's one more interesting thing. You can use a single quote as a normal character within a double quoted string and a double quote as a normal character within a single quoted string. So let me give you an example of this. I'm creating a new string str3, and this time I'm going to use a single quote inside double quoted string. And look at this. Python has accepted it. No error. Look at str3. Once again, single quote is there. It has been accepted. But the problem is, you cannot put a single quote within a single quoted string and a double quote within a double quoted string, because it will be treated as the first occurrence of a single quote within a single quoted string will be treated as end of the string character. So let me show you. So str4, I'm creating a new string, a single quoted string, and I'm going to use a single quote within a single quoted string. Now look at this. The first occurrence of single quote is being treated by Python as end of the string character. If I run this line of code now, at this point of time, it's gonna throw an error. So how to suppress that behavior of Python? Easy. You can use escape characters. A backslash can be used as a escape character. A backslash used as a escape character suppresses special meaning of a symbol. So str4, see, we have created str4 and Python has not thrown any error. So this is another special feature of Python. Now one more thing, Python allows you to create multi-line string. How to do that? I'm creating a multi-line string str5 using either triple single quotes or triple double quotes. So I'm typing my string, enter, string, enter, string, enter. At all those places where I hit enter key, let's see what did Python do. Look at str5 now. See, at all those places where I hit enter key, Python has inserted new line character. And this new line character plays a role when you use print function. So I'm printing str5 and look at this. At all those places where new line characters present, print function has inserted a new line. So the next segment has been printed in the next line. Interesting, right? Okay, so this is about Python's primitive type. What did we learn here? We learned how to store integer numbers, floating point numbers, complex numbers, Boolean values, and data in the form of strings in Python environment. In the next session, I'm going to show you how to perform various operations on these primitive types. So stay in touch and keep learning.